Hello, class. Welcome to another week here in our ethics class. First of all, let me apologize. I usually like to upload these a little earlier in the day so you can use them for as much of the week as possible. But to be honest, I was in a bit of a car accident earlier today. Nothing too bad, just got rear-ended, but I've been running around all day dealing with the aftermath of that. So again, I apologize for that. I'm not going to make two videos tonight. I think what I'm going to do is just combine the two because there's not a lot of housekeeping here. Things are looking a lot better this week. They could have been better than they are. To be honest, I'm sure you saw the announcement I put in there. I gave a lot of tips last week on exactly what we're looking for to result in full credit for the discussion board posts. And that video was not widely viewed. Hopefully this video is viewed a little more. There's about 25 of us in the class here. And for the longest time, the video that essentially was giving you the answers only had 3 views. So that was unfortunate. I hope that going forward, there's a little bit more motivation to view this, especially because I'm giving you the way to get a better grade. I'm in no way of the mindset that I want to be in a gotcha mode or just, oh, let me take points here and take points there. I'm telling you how to get full credit. Let's do it. Let's all get full credit. First of all, word counts. When you have a 300 word requirement, use all 300 words, at least. If you want full credit, it has to be a full post. Reference lists and things like that do not count towards your content. So make sure your actual post itself has at least 300 words. Second of all, references. We've discussed them by now. We've discussed them at length. But you can't just put a reference list at the end of a post and consider that a citation. A citation has to be in the reference list and in the narrative, in the body, in the actual post itself. So, for instance, if you say, if you make a statement and you cite an author, that author needs to be cited at the end of that sentence or at the beginning, and also has to be in the reference list. And you'll know you formatted it correctly because the same name will be in both places. You can't use the name in one place and start out your citation with the name of the book in the reference list. Names should match names. So if it's in the reference list, it needs to be in the narrative. If it's in the narrative, it needs to be in the reference list. And finally, the rubric lays it out really plain as can be. If you want full credit, which is 20 points when it comes to the reference portion, there's 100 points for each discussion board post. 20 points of that is based on the quality of your citations and your references. If you want all 20 points, there has to be multiple sources cited. If you cite one source, just our textbook, you won't get the 20 points. You need to cite multiples. The grammar and the spelling is getting better and better. Just make sure we keep up with that. And if you did lose some points because of spelling, again, I encourage you. I've given you the resources on how to either spell check them yourself or use some software. I've given links to software to do that. But again, on average, those are looking better and better. Those are the key points: word length, citations being in both places, the narrative and the reference list, and proofreading. Other than that, the actual quality of the content, I'm loving it, and especially the responses, the way folks are moving the conversation along and using their own personal experiences to drive the point home. Exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you very much. They've been a delight to read, and I couldn't ask for anything more. So you'll notice that the vast majority of the only time you lose points on the responses this last week is if you didn't do responses or you didn't meet the word counts, things like that. But in general, I loved exactly what I was reading. So thank you very much. I think that's all for the housekeeping aspect of things. If I think of anything, I'll touch back on it. Let's get into the content of this week's chapter. This week we're talking about moral relativism. So if we're going to talk about moral relativism, I think we need to look in what exactly is relativism. What is it when we say something is relative? A lot of times you're talking about when somebody says something is relative, it's like subjective. Kind of, it depends is another way of putting that. So is it immoral? Is it moral? And if you're talking about viewing that through the moral relativism lens, then you're saying, well, it's immoral. Well, it depends. Is it not? It depends on the circumstances. The book uses 2 Latin terms, mala in se and mala prohibita. Those meaning, they're hard to remember words sometimes, but the easiest way for me to remember that is mala inse is what humans have just decided, as our essence has decided is wrong. There's just no way around it. And mala prohibita is what society has prohibited. So that's what I use, a little trick I use to help me remember that. So if only society has prohibited by law, then it's mala prohibita. The examples that the book uses and a lot of other folks when they're teaching these classes uses rape and murder. It's just those two crimes. They're not just wrong because society has written a law saying, yeah, I don't think we can rape and I don't think we can murder, so we ought to make that illegal. No, our pure essence, our souls have decided, our beings have decided you cannot commit murder, you cannot rape. Those are just two crimes that are inexcusable. And even if we didn't write them down, if it wasn't codified in a penal code, then we would still consider those things wrong. Whereas if you look at mala prohibita, things like if you didn't register your car this year, you didn't get your car tags updated. Is that wrong because your inner soul of humanity has decided that if you don't register your car, it's just absolutely wrong? No, not really. It's something that the government and thereby the society has said we should do. We've written laws and rules saying you should register your car, and if you don't, then there's some penalties. You can get a ticket. But it's not. If it wasn't written down someplace, I imagine nobody would really realize it was against the law. It's only against the law because we said it's against the law, and that's what mala prohibita is. It's just a great way to remember it. It's only against the law because we said it was. Whereas rape, murder, nobody has to tell you those things are wrong. That's how you can tell the difference between mala inse and mala prohibita. But then you start looking at those things through that moral relativism lens. And okay, we decided it's wrong to kill. But what if you take another angle at it? Now we take that relativism angle, that it depends angle. Is it wrong to kill someone in war? Is it wrong to kill someone who breaks into your home? Is it wrong to kill somebody in your own self-defense? Those are all those it depends angles that the relativism lends itself to. I think if I had an opportunity to talk to you long enough and provide enough examples, you'd see things. I'd be able to convince you that the vast majority of crimes can be viewed through that relativism lens, and there are a lot of ways to justify crimes. And you'd realize that moral relativism is a lot more powerful than mala prohibita is, where it's just wrong because we said it's wrong. Because there's a lot of ways to say, oh yeah, you said it's wrong here, but what about this? And that's where the relativism portion of it, the subjective way we view things, comes into play. If it's wrong to steal. We've said that, we've codified it. There are laws on the books that say you cannot steal. But there are a lot of opportunities that the prosecutors will take discretion and not prosecute somebody that steals if they are stealing to feed their family or there are justifiable reasons. Same thing with justifiable homicide, which is an actual term, a legal term. The homicide is illegal. However, given the circumstances, given the subjectivity, the relativism, once you see the totality of the circumstances, this particular homicide is justifiable, whether it be because of self-defense, because an officer was protecting somebody else or themselves or their partner. There's a lot of things that go into play when you're going to look at something in a relative sense or a subjective sense. So as we do our posts, again, remember they are due by Monday, which is today. You'll lose points if they're submitted after midnight tonight, so please submit them on time. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I know I'm still waiting on a phone call from at least one or two of you that still haven't reached out to me that I've emailed. So please check your emails, your Johnston Community College emails. If you don't log on to that very often, please log on to it and check it. And if you have a note in there asking you to call me, please call me. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk soon.